What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over Week 10's Thursday Night Showdown. We have a really good one here between the Bengals and Ravens. Obviously, Game 1 they had earlier this season was a very high-scoring, very heavily offensive game. Saw a lot of fantasy points out of that game. We can go and look one by one. Go look at Lamar, 37 over 37 fantasy points. Joe Burrow, over 37 fantasy points. 79 points is a crazy one. Now, do I think we're going to get to that same point? Probably not. Are we going to get a good amount of scoring? I think I speak for most people when I say I hope so. And yeah, the prices are kind of high again, right? So kind of, I guess, got lucky on Monday and got some pay downs in the Tampa Bay and Chiefs game. In this game, we have 6 players above 9K, 2 players above 11, and then 2 players above 10. So figuring out where you're going to go with this game is definitely going to be interesting. So I do think both quarterbacks are going to be successful in this matchup. Both defenses have kind of given up quite a bit of fantasy points, either through the ground if you're Cincinnati's defense, or through the air like Baltimore's defense. So, someone like Lamar, who in their game earlier this season, 55 yards of rushing on 12 attempts, which is one of Lamar's better games this season. He's playing a defense that's given up quite a bit of rushing yards to quarterbacks. So Lamar's definitely in play against a Cincinnati secondary that just every now and then they have those games where they play good, but for the most part, I think they've given up quite a bit. But with Lamar's rushing upside, I definitely think he's a very, very good play in this one. Now, Derrick Henry, as far as kind of what Cincinnati allows per attempt and stuff like that, I think Derrick Henry's in a good spot, not great. 16 in their game. But that was on 15 carries. We've seen some of the games where he gets 20 carries. Only 1 target in that game as well, which is pretty much where he's been at all season. But if I did have to get somebody, who I'm not going to get as much ownership as the others, it would be Derrick Henry on this one. I do think he can have success, but where both teams' defenses are to quarterbacks, where Baltimore's defense is to wide receivers, I like Jamar Chase, right? I like Jamar Chase. I like Joe Burrow. It's really hard to pay for Lamar and Derrick Henry in the slate. And then, if we're being realistic, are we really wanting to get Burrow without Chase? Where are we finding success there? Now, do I think you could play Chase without Burrow? Sure. But I don't want to play Burrow without Chase, right? I don't want to depend on Mike Gesicki, Andre Yosivas, Jermaine Burton if he's active. I want to get Jamar Chase. So if I had to get one out, it's Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers in a good spot at 9,600. His game against Cincinnati, 22 DraftKings points. We've seen every game but the Tampa Bay, which don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he got hurt in that game very early on. He did play, but was not really used at all in a receiving role. I think they had him in there as pretty much a decoy, if I remember that game correctly. So other than that, he has killed it since playing Cincinnati, right? 4 out of his 5 games over 20 points. And like I said, I believe against Tampa, he was banged up. So I do think if you wanted to go somebody else with Lamar Jackson, that's a pay up. Zay Flowers. I will talk about a really good opportunity that we just got. Chase Brown at 9K is just too expensive on this one for me. Baltimore's played running backs really well in their game against Baltimore, 16.4. But that's when his showdown price was 7,400 versus now is 9K. And Khalil Herbert did get traded over. Now, I'm not too worried about Khalil Herbert getting traded over this week. He got traded on Tuesday. The game's on Thursday. I don't see him getting a crazy amount of volume. I will go on T. Higgins, doubtful in this game, unfortunately. If he was good to go, I think this game would be really, really good. I think it would have that, 70-point potential again. It still has a really good potential. We've seen Baltimore games where they're putting up 40 points alone, right? 24-29, 41-31, 30-23, 41-38, 41-10, 35-10. Like, they're putting up some very high-scoring games, Baltimore is. On Cincy's side, and look at some of their games, 41-24, 17-37, kind of slower games there. Earlier on, 38-41, 34-24, 33-38, 25-26. So both these teams have the capability of scoring some points, and defenses have been lackluster there. So both of those. But Mike Gesicki at 6,600, saw him Sunday go off, had success without T. Higgins. It's kind of where he's found his success this season. 2 early games, 6-8. 9-4 has been his target so far. So at 6,600, the number 2 pass catcher with opportunity is Mike Gesicki. So I definitely think he's playable. Rashad Bateman is just too expensive in my opinion now with Deontay Johnson being added. I think that deep pass attempt that he dropped against Cleveland, I believe it was, to kind of give Baltimore the win, essentially, has definitely set Bateman back, and I think that's, I won't say the reason they went after Deontay Johnson, but it probably had just slightly something to do with it, saying, hey, if Zay Flowers is out, who are we going to? So I'd rather pay down $1,000 more for Deontay Johnson than Rashad Bateman. Both kickers yet again in play. 2 very, very good kickers. Justin Tucker, home 10.5. Having one of his, from a percentage-wise, worst seasons he's had in his career, but still, Baltimore and Cincinnati move the ball down the field so well. It's just if they score in the red zone, right? We could see both these kickers have success, but it all depends as if the offense is scoring, right? We know the offenses can move the ball. They're 2 top 10 teams, 2 top 10 offenses in moving the ball down the field. That's what they're doing. But both these kickers under 80% for field goal make percentages. So it's not a matter of the fact of if they're going to get kicking opportunities. It's how good the offenses are going to be, right? The offenses are good. Offenses are going to move the ball. Are the offenses scoring in the red zone? That is where these kickers come in line. Both these offenses are above average in scoring. Both defenses are below average in points allowed, which is good, right? Targeting teams that allow scores in the red zone. So both kickers yet again in play. Justice Hill in this slate, I think, is too expensive. I am looking at, if you're looking for a Baltimore running back, Keaton Mitchell, watch the news for. I believe Ali is going to be out or is ruled out already. Keaton Mitchell at 2,400 has not been confirmed if he is in or out yet. This video is going up on Wednesday, so if it does sometime later today or on Thursday, then you get some news. But I think Keaton Mitchell, we saw it last season, the opportunities he did get, he looked very explosive, looked very fast, looked like a good different pace back from Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Obviously, Derrick Henry still has explosiveness, but that's just up and down the field. Keaton Mitchell pretty much has that east to west explosiveness, making defenders miss tackles on him, versus Derrick Henry is just a guy to where, yeah, he's going to make defenders miss tackles, but it's in a different form, right? He's going to find the hole, take the hole, you only get one hand on him, he's gone. Versus Keaton Mitchell is going to be someone that tries to juke out that defender. So Keaton Mitchell would be the guy I want to go to if I'm not getting Derrick Henry and want a Baltimore running back. Mark Andrews, though, I think is kind of the value play of the slate, right? That's where you want to find value, is anything under this price, but I specifically want value under 3K. Unfortunately, DraftKings has been not pricing guys where they should be. Mark Andrews is at a beautiful price, though, and I do think he's a value for his price, and that's just because Isaiah Likely is out. Kind of seen Isaiah Likely, his role kind of go down compared to where we've seen it. 2 touchdowns against Cincinnati, but 3 of 13. That was it. Versus week 1 against Kansas City, where everyone was on Isaiah Likely. 12 targets, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Since then, really hasn't done much. But we kind of look at Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews got written off pretty quick. See where Mark Andrews has been at since Cincinnati. 15, 20, 14. Last week against Denver, 4.6. So I think his price is ridiculously low on this slate, so I'm definitely interested in Andrews. Yosivas is tough to kind of decide if I want to go the Yosivas route. Obviously gets a touchdown, but that's a 10-yard receiving touchdown. Didn't do anything in the other targets. Has kind of been diminished since T. Higgins came back. T. Higgins goes out again, and he really doesn't do much again. So I'm kind of looking at Gesicki as my number 2 pass catcher. That's kind of it. Maybe going, a Drew Sample route. If Mike Gesicki's lining up in the slot more, obviously that's Yosivas' spot. But he's just been non-existent. Other than that, like I mentioned, Khalil Herbert got traded. He should be the number 2 back. I just don't think he's going to get much work in this game. If he does, I would be very shocked. I do expect to see him in some sort of fashion, but it's not going to be a lot of snaps. Other than that, Jermaine Burton with T. Higgins out may get opportunities. So that's one to watch there. Irwin is definitely another guy to watch at 1,200. I will mention the tight ends for Baltimore are very underpriced. Charlie Kolar is 600 with Isaiah Likely out. 600. We've seen games to where both Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely can have some sort of success, but they definitely get their tight ends involved. They will run 2 tight end sets. It's not a great play, but at 600, I definitely want to get some type of exposure to him. At 600, he's going to get on the field quite a bit, so I want to get some type of exposure there. It's not beautiful at value. Jermaine Burton, Kohler, Irwin, kind of the 3 I'm looking at. So, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you want our FanDuel or bets and props going up to this game, who I have in my player pools, guys, I'm really targeting. Obviously, I talked about it in this, but just recap of why with some more stability of why. It's available on our website for subscribers, a very cheap subscription package if you guys are interested. And I will see you guys in the next one.